Most people trying to lose belly fat are doing something: running, cycling, burning, moving, and the fat stays. Not because they're lazy, because they're triggering the wrong signal. What actually controls where your body stores and releases fat isn't how much oxygen you consumed. It's a hormone. And there is a category of movement that attacks it directly without a single step. The muscle that sits deepest in your abdomen, deeper than your six-pack, deeper than your obliques, cannot be reached by a crunch. It doesn't flex, it braces, and the only way to load it is to stop moving entirely. Plank. Watch the Spartan hold that position. Not a crunch, not a sit-up, just absolute stillness and every fiber in his core firing at once. That muscle is the transverse abdominis. It wraps around your spine like a belt, and its job is compression, not movement. Crunches bypass it almost entirely because crunches require range of motion, and the transverse abdominis produces none. The plank loads it isometrically. Your body is still, but the contraction is total. Here is the mechanic that matters. Sustained static muscular effort lowers cortisol, and cortisol is the primary hormonal signal that instructs your body to retain fat around your organs. Not calories, cortisol. Forearms under shoulders, hips level, lower back flat. Not sagging, not raised. Hold for 45 seconds. 3 rounds. If your hips drop at 30 seconds, you've been doing cardio when you should have been doing this. Cortisol drops when you brace. It drops even further when you decompress. And decompressing the spine under load produces a parasympathetic response that most people have never intentionally triggered. Dead hang. The Spartan reaches up, grabs the bar, and hangs. Fully extended. Still. Vertebrae separating under gravity and load simultaneously. When you hang from a bar with arms fully extended and shoulders packed, the compressed discs between your vertebrae, stacked down from years of sitting, begin to separate. That decompression activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the calm state. In the calm state, cortisol falls. The grip will want to fail at 40 seconds. Let it work. Grip strength is one of the strongest metabolic health indicators measured in longitudinal studies. Not because the hand matters, but because grip failure reflects systemic neuromuscular output. 60 seconds, 3 rounds. What you cannot hold yet is what your body is holding onto for you. The hang decompresses from the top. The next hold loads from the bottom, and it forces the largest glycogen reservoir in your body to empty faster than any run you've ever done. The quadriceps hold more stored sugar than any other muscle group in the human body, force them into a sustained contraction, and they clear that storage in minutes, not hours. Wall sit. Back flat against the wall, thighs parallel to the floor, knees at 90 degrees. The Spartan holds this like he's waiting for a gate to open. No shaking, no drifting, no rising. Glycogen is stored glucose inside the muscle. When the quads contract statically for extended duration, they burn through that glycogen without the cortisol spike that distance running produces. Once glycogen empties, the body shifts fuel sources. It starts pulling from fat. That's not a figure of speech. That's the biochemical transition from glycolysis to beta oxidation happening in real time inside the working muscle. The burning you feel at 40 seconds is the shift happening. Don't confuse pain with damage. Hold for 60 seconds. 3 sets. Rest 90 seconds between them. That elevated fat oxidation doesn't end when the hold ends. It continues for hours afterward. But the quads load the front of the leg, and fat loss driven by cortisol reduction requires something the quads cannot produce: posterior chain activation. The largest endocrine muscle in the human body produces testosterone under sustained contraction. Most people's version of this movement fires the wrong muscle and produces nothing. Isometric glute bridge hold. Lie on your back. Feet flat, knees bent. Drive the hips to the ceiling and hold. Not the hamstrings, not the lower back, the glutes. The Spartan locks his hips at the top and doesn't let them drift a centimeter. Here's the form cue that changes everything. Push your knees forward over your toes while you hold. That forward knee drive shifts the load off the hamstrings and onto the glutes entirely. The glutes are the largest muscle in the body. Testosterone production scales with the size of the recruited muscle and the duration of the contraction. Hold for 45 seconds, 3 rounds. There's a second mechanism here that matters for belly fat specifically. The glutes are the primary stabilizers of the pelvis. When the pelvis is unstable, and in most people with visceral fat accumulation it is, the lower abdominals disengage and stop contracting entirely. The glute bridge restores the chain from the bottom up. With the posterior chain locked and the pelvis stable, the interior core can finally do what it was designed to do. Not flex, not crunch, but brace against pressure from the inside out. The position that Spartan warriors train to absorb a shield impact, full body tension from shoulder to hip, every layer of the abdominal wall contracting simultaneously, requires no equipment, no movement, and almost no space. Hollow body hold. Lie flat. Press your lower back into the floor. Hard. Arms extended overhead, legs extended and lifted 6 inches off the ground. The Spartan holds this with the same expression he holds everything. No drama, no release. This is the foundational position of gymnastic strength training because it forces the transverse abdominis, the internal obliques, and the rectus abdominis to fire simultaneously, not in sequence, all at once. That simultaneous co-contraction is what Spartan soldiers built their stability from, bracing before impact rather than reacting after it. Hold for 30 seconds. At 20 seconds, the lower back will want to arch. An arch means the lower abs released. The lower abs releasing is exactly the neuromuscular pattern that allows visceral fat to accumulate in the first place. The core learns to disengage under load, and the body compensates by storing tissue where the stability should be. 3 rounds, 30 seconds each, 60 seconds rest between them, no arch, no release, no negotiating. Isometric training lowers resting cortisol by up to 14% over a 6-week period. And cortisol, not calories, is what has been holding that fat in place. The cardio was never the problem. The hormone was